My name is Sally Brennan. I'm 34 years old. Last Tuesday, after a 16-hour shift in the operating room, I fell asleep at the wheel on my way home. I woke up in the ambulance, everything hurting, struggling to breathe. The paramedic called my parents. I heard my mother's voice through the phone, clear, cold. Is she dying? No? Then it can wait. Maria needs us right now. Sally's always dramatic. Tell her to stop making a scene. They were 25 minutes away, holding my sister Maria's hand, because she'd gotten a $385 traffic ticket and was having what they called a complete meltdown. 3 hours later, when my father finally walked into that hospital room, he froze in the doorway. Someone was sitting beside my bed, someone he recognized. His face went pale. His hands started trembling. What are you? Sally, why is she here? And from that moment, everything officially changed. Now let me take you back to where it all began. Monday, October 21st, 11 a.m. I clocked in at Metropolitan General Hospital for what the schedule called a routine trauma rotation. There's no such thing as routine in trauma surgery. By 11:47 a.m., I was already in operating room 2. A 32-year-old man, car accident on the expressway, 3 broken ribs, punctured lung, the same injuries I'd have 24 hours later, though I didn't know that yet. I remember standing over him, my hands steady, making the incision. The attending beside me was Dr. James Kowalski, 29 years old, still learning. I'd trained him myself. Dr. Brennan, he said, chest tube placement looks clean. You want me to close? You do the honors, I told him. You've earned it. The surgery took 4.5 hours. The patient lived. That's all that matters in my line of work. I scrubbed out at 4:18 p.m., checked my phone. Text from my mother, sent at 3:47 p.m. Sally, we're taking Maria to that new Italian place tomorrow for lunch. Wish you weren't always so busy. I felt it then. A sharp pain behind my left eye. Brief, fleeting. I ignored it. At 6:23 p.m., they rolled another patient into operating room 4. Gunshot wound to the abdomen. 28 years old. Someone's son. Someone's brother. Dr. Brennan, we need you now. He's crashing. I didn't hesitate. I never do. 3 hours later, he was stable. Liver laceration repaired, no permanent damage. He'd wake up the next day and get a second chance at life. I didn't know I'd need someone to give me the same chance in less than 24 hours. The last case came in at 12:47 a.m. Tuesday morning technically. An elderly woman, 68 years old, named Eleanor Vance, ruptured appendix with sepsis, critical. I operated for 2.5 hours. When I finally closed, it was 3:20 a.m. Mrs. Vance opened her eyes in recovery, squeezed my hand, whispered, "Thank you for saving my life." I squeezed back. That's what I'm here for. I didn't tell her that in 12 hours I'd be the one who needed saving, and the people who were supposed to save me wouldn't come. As I scrubbed out at 3:22 a.m., my phone buzzed. Text from Maria. Mom and Dad are taking me to that new Italian place tomorrow. Wish you weren't always so busy. The pain behind my left eye flared again. Sharper this time. I ignored it again. I'd been ignoring a lot of things. I drove home in the dark. The highway was empty at 3:45 a.m. Just me, the streetlights, and the weight of 16 hours on my feet. When I pulled into the driveway at 4:15 a.m., the house was dark. Andrew and Emma were asleep. Our daughter's nightlight glowed pink through her bedroom window. I sat in the car for a moment. Checked my phone. A text from my mother, sent at 11:32 p.m. the night before. Honey, can you send an extra $500 this month? Maria's car insurance went up. You know how tight things are for us. I opened my banking app, typed in $1,200, my monthly contribution to what my parents called the Family Emergency Fund. Then I sent another $500 for Maria's insurance. Total, $1,700. My checking account balance, $3,280. I'd made that transfer 84 times before, once a month, for 7 years. $1,200 times 84 months equals $100,800, plus the emergencies, the one-time requests that came 3 times a month. I'd stopped counting those years ago. I sat there in my car, staring at the screen. The loan summary was still open in another tab. The $186,000 refinance loan I'd co-signed in March 2017. Original balance, $186,000. Amount my parents had paid, $0. Amount I'd paid, $43,700. Current balance, $142,300. Still entirely in my name. Andrew had asked me once 3 years ago, "Why do you keep giving them money?" I'd said, "Because they're family." He'd said, "Family doesn't bleed you dry, Sally." I didn't have an answer, so I just kept paying. I went inside, kissed Emma's forehead. She smelled like lavender shampoo and innocence. 5 years old, too young to understand that her mother was teaching her a terrible lesson, that love means erasing yourself, piece by piece, until there's nothing left. I thought, what kind of mother am I becoming? The headache pulsed, harder than before. I took 2 Tylenol and went to bed. I had to be back at the hospital at 2 p.m., just 10.5 hours between shifts. I set my alarm for 12:30 p.m., 8 hours of sleep, maybe. I slept for 7 hours and 45 minutes. Tuesday morning, 7:15 a.m. My alarm didn't go off. I woke up to Emma shaking my shoulder. "Mommy, we're going to be late for school." I jolted awake, looked at my phone. I'd slept through the alarm. Andrew was already gone. He'd left a note. "Didn't want to wake you. You needed the rest. I'll pick up Emma after work. Love you." I made breakfast, poured cereal. Emma ate in silence, swinging her legs under the table. "Mommy, why do you look sad?" "I'm not sad, sweetie. Mommy's just tired." "You're always tired." She was 5 years old, and she was right. At 7:48 a.m., my phone buzzed. Text from my mother. "Sally, did you send the money? Maria's insurance company called. They need payment by Friday or they'll drop her." I didn't respond. I'd already sent it. I drove Emma to Riverside Elementary, dropped her off at 8:03 a.m. She turned and waved before running inside, her little backpack bouncing. I drove to the hospital. I had 3 consults scheduled. A tumor board meeting at 2 p.m. The headache was back, a constant throb behind my left temple. I stopped at a gas station, bought a large coffee and a bottle of Tylenol, took 2 pills dry. By noon, the pain was an 8 out of 10. By 3:30 p.m., I was on the floor of the doctor's lounge and someone was screaming my name. But let me back up, because what happened in those 3 hours is important. At 2 p.m., I walked into the tumor board meeting. 18 doctors. We were reviewing surgical cases. I presented a complex case, a pancreatic tumor, high-risk patient. Halfway through my presentation, the room started spinning. I gripped the edge of the table, kept talking, finished the slide. "Dr. Brennan," someone said, "are you okay?" "Fine," I said, "just tired." At 3:15 p.m., I excused myself, told them I needed to review some labs, walked to the doctor's lounge. The pain was blinding now, a railroad spike through my skull. I thought I should call someone. But who? Andrew was at work. My parents were... Well, they were my parents. I sat down on the couch, just for a minute, just to close my eyes. The next thing I remember is Dr. Kowalski's face above mine, his voice distant, panicked. "Sally! Sally, can you hear me?" I tried to answer. My mouth wouldn't work. And then there was nothing but the sound of sirens and the taste of blood. I woke up in the ambulance. Everything hurt. Not the sharp, specific pain of a broken bone, the deep, wrong pain of something torn inside. I tried to breathe. My chest wouldn't expand, like someone was sitting on my ribs. A paramedic leaned over me. Young guy, maybe 25. His name tag said Morgan. Dr. Brennan, can you hear me? You were in an accident. We're taking you to Metropolitan General. Accident. The word floated in my head. I didn't remember an accident. What? My voice came out as a rasp. You were driving on Highway 290. Your car hit a telephone pole. Do you remember? I didn't. The last thing I remembered was sitting on the couch in the doctor's lounge. Then I realized I'd fallen asleep. Not on the couch, at the wheel. Time? I whispered. It's 3:52 p.m. 3:52 p.m. I'd left the hospital at when? 3:30? The drive home was 45 minutes. I'd made it 14 minutes before my body gave out. Morgan was doing something to my chest, pressing. It hurt. Everything hurt. You've got some broken ribs, Dr. Brennan. Possible pneumothorax. We're going to decompress on scene, okay? I nodded, felt the needle go in, felt air rush out of my chest cavity, felt the pressure ease, just slightly. Better? Yeah. Good. Now I need to call someone for you. Who's your emergency contact? I gave him my parents' number, Ronald and Patricia Brennan. It was habit, muscle memory. They were my parents. Of course they were my emergency contact. Morgan dialed, put the phone on speaker so I could hear. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times. Then my mother's voice, clear as crystal. Hello? Mrs. Brennan? This is paramedic Morgan with Chicago Fire Department. I'm with your daughter Sally. She's been in a car accident and… Is she dying? The question hung in the air. Blunt. Clinical. Ma'am, she has significant injuries and needs immediate… Is she dying? Yes or no? Morgan looked at me. I could see the confusion in his eyes. No, ma'am, but she's in serious condition. Then it can wait. Maria needs us right now. Sally's always dramatic. Tell her to stop making a scene. I heard my father's voice in the background. Who is it? It's about Sally. She's fine. She had a fender bender or something. Mrs. Brennan, Morgan said, his voice tight. This isn't a fender bender. Your daughter has… Click, she hung up. Morgan stared at the phone, then at me. Did she hang up? I closed my eyes. Yeah. Should I call back? No. Because I knew. They weren't coming. Not for me. Not when Maria needed something. Not for a $385 traffic ticket. And certainly not for her older sister who was, as always, being dramatic. They loaded me into the ambulance at 4:02 p.m. The drive to Metropolitan General took 16 minutes. During those 16 minutes, Morgan tried calling my parents 2 more times. Voicemail. Both times. At 4:18 p.m., we arrived at the ER. They wheeled me into Bay 3. Dr. James Kowalski was waiting. The same resident I'd trained. The same kid I'd let close on the chest tube just yesterday. Now he was looking at my CT scan. Sally, he said quietly, you've got 3 fractured ribs, hemothorax, about 800 milliliters of blood in your chest cavity, and your spleen is lacerated. Grade 3. I knew what that meant. I'd treated dozens of patients with the same injuries. It meant surgery. Soon. How long do I have? An hour, maybe 2 before it becomes critical. We need to get you to OR. Call Andrew. Already did. He's on his way. Sally, we need your parents to sign consent forms. Hospital policy for non-life-threatening emergencies. Do you want me to call them again? Non-life-threatening. That's what my mother had asked. Is she dying? No? Then it can wait. Yeah, I said. Call them. James stepped out. I heard him on the phone. Mrs. Brennan, this is Dr. James Kowalski at Metropolitan General Hospital. Sally was in a serious car accident. She has internal bleeding and needs emergency surgery within the hour. Pause. Yes, ma'am. She's conscious. But she has significant injuries. Pause. I understand you're dealing with something, but this is time sensitive. We need family consent to proceed with. Pause. Longer this time. Mrs. Brennan, with all due respect, a traffic ticket? I couldn't hear what my mother said, but I could see James's face, the disbelief, the anger. I see. So you'll come when you're done there. He hung up, came back into the bay. Sally, I'm so sorry. I don't understand. Don't, I said. Just don't. Over the next 90 minutes, my family made a choice. They chose Maria's $385 traffic ticket over my bleeding spleen. The hospital made 10 phone calls. 4:18 p.m. Nurse Fletcher called Ronald. No answer. 4:35 p.m. Dr. Kowalski called Patricia. She answered. Said they'd come when they could. 4:52 p.m. Andrew called Ronald. Voicemail. 5:03 p.m. Andrew called Patricia. She answered. Told him they were handling Maria's crisis and would be there soon. 5:10 p.m. Dr. Kowalski called Patricia again. Voicemail. 5:25 p.m. Nurse Fletcher called Ronald. No answer. 5:40 p.m. Andrew called Ronald. No answer. 5:55 p.m. Hospital administrator called Patricia. She answered, said, "We're on our way." They weren't. 6:10 p.m. Andrew called Ronald. Answered. Ronald said, "We're leaving now." They'd said that 40 minutes ago. 6:25 p.m. Dr. Kowalski called Patricia one final time. Voicemail. 10 calls, 90 minutes. They were at Cafe Rossi, 1840 West Division Street, 25 minutes from the hospital. They stayed there for 2 hours and 15 minutes. From 3:30 p.m. to 5:45 p.m. Because Maria had gotten a $385 traffic ticket for running a red light at the intersection of State and Madison, her fourth violation this year. I'd paid for the other three, $735 total. At 5:20 p.m., Dr. Kowalski came back to my bay. Sally, we can't wait any longer. I'm invoking emergency surgical consent. But I want you to know, I called your parents 5 times. I know. What's Maria's emergency? A traffic ticket. A traffic ticket. He said it flat. Like he was testing whether the words made sense out loud. They didn't. Your mother said it was $385. I started laughing, then crying. Then I couldn't breathe again. They wheeled me to OR4 at 5:38 p.m., the same operating room where I'd saved a man's life the night before. Now I was the one on the table. Andrew arrived at 5:45 p.m. He'd been picking up Emma from school when he got the calls. He drove 80 miles an hour across the city. He ran 3 red lights. He made it in 22 minutes. My parents were 25 minutes away. And they took 3 hours and 12 minutes. Andrew signed the consent forms at 5:48 p.m. His hands were shaking so hard he could barely hold the pen. The anesthesiologist put the mask over my face. I counted backward from 10. 10. 9. 8. The last thing I thought was, they're not coming. I woke up at 8:32 p.m. in the ICU, Bay 6. The surgery had taken 2 hours and 12 minutes. Dr. Raymond Castellano, the attending trauma surgeon, had repaired my spleen, inserted a chest tube, stabilized my ribs. I'd received 2 units of blood. I'd live. Andrew was sitting beside my bed. His eyes were red. He hadn't shaved. He was wearing the same clothes from this morning. Hey, I whispered. He grabbed my hand, kissed my knuckles, started crying. You scared the hell out of me. Sorry. Don't apologize. Just don't do that again. Deal. Your parents? Don't. Sally, they didn't get here until 6:50. You were already in surgery. And when they walked into the waiting room, you know what your mother's first words were? I didn't want to know. She asked if the car was totaled, because if it was, insurance should cover a replacement. She wanted to know if your policy was comprehensive. I closed my eyes. She asked about the car. Yeah. Not about me. Not first, no. I should have been surprised. But I wasn't. Because that's who they'd always been. I'd just spent 34 years pretending otherwise. Andrew, I said, I need you to do something for me. Anything. Call Dr. Hartwick. Tell her I need to see her. Tonight if possible. Doctor. Hartwick? Your boss? Yeah. Sally, what's going on? I looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who'd driven 80 miles an hour across Chicago, who'd run red lights, who'd signed consent forms with shaking hands. This man who'd shown up. I'm done, I said. I'm done paying. I'm done pretending. I'm done being the good daughter who erases herself so they can keep pretending Maria is fine and I'm the problem. Okay? I'm going to need witnesses. I'm going to need records. And I'm going to need you to trust me. I trust you. Call Dr. Hartwick. He called. She came. And when my parents finally walked into that ICU room the next morning, they found someone sitting beside my bed. Someone they recognized. Someone they feared. Dr. Evelyn Hartwick, Chief Medical Officer, my boss, my witness, and the woman who would help me end this. Let me take you back 7 years. March 2017. I was 27 years old. I'd just finished my residency at Metropolitan General. I'd accepted a position as an attending trauma surgeon. My starting salary was $68,000 a year. I thought I was rich. My parents invited me to dinner. Sunday, March 18th, 2017, 6 p.m., their house on Maple Street. My father made pot roast. My mother set the table with the good china. Maria wasn't there. She was out with friends. That should have been my first clue. We ate, we talked. They asked about my new job. I told them about the hours, the patients, the cases. Then, over coffee, my father slid a folder across the table. Sally, he said, we need to talk about something. Inside the folder were loan documents, a mortgage refinance, $186,000. What's this? We're refinancing the house. Your mother's knee surgery last year cost more than we expected. We've got some credit card debt. We're struggling. I looked at the papers. The interest rate was high, 7.2%. Dad, this rate is terrible. We don't have perfect credit, Sally. You know that. But you do. I looked up. Me? We need a co-signer. Someone with good credit to help us get approved. It's just a formality. We'll make all the payments. But the bank won't approve us without a co-signer. My mother reached across the table, took my hand. Sally, honey, we wouldn't ask if we weren't desperate. This is just temporary. 6 months, maybe a year. Then we'll refinance again in our own names. But right now, we need you. I was 27. I'd just finished 7 years of medical school and residency. I was tired. I wanted to help. What's the monthly payment? $1,156. And you can afford that? Absolutely. Your father's pension and my part-time job will cover it. We just need you to co-sign. I should have asked more questions. I should have demanded to see their bank statements. I should have insisted on a contract, a payment plan, something in writing. But I didn't. Because they were my parents. And parents don't lie to their children. Except mine did. I signed on line 23, right next to my father's signature. Thank you, honey, my mother said. You have no idea what this means to us. It's temporary, my father said. We'll pay it off in 5 years maximum. Temporary. 7 years later, they still hadn't paid a single dollar. Within 6 months, I got the first email from the bank. Payment overdue. I called my father. Dad, the bank says the mortgage payment is late. Oh, he said. We thought you were handling it this month. What? No, you said you'd make the payments. We've been covering it, Sally, but things are tight. Can you help us out just this once? Just this once. I paid $1,156. The next month, another email. Payment overdue. Dad, Sally, I'm sorry. We had some unexpected expenses. Maria needed help with her rent. Can you cover it one more time? One more time became every time. By month 12, I was paying the entire mortgage, $1,156 a month, plus my own rent, plus my student loans. I was drowning, but I kept paying, because that's what good daughters do. It wasn't just the money. It was everything. June 8th, 2013. My medical school graduation. University of Illinois College of Medicine. I'd worked 7 years for this moment. I sent my parents an invitation. They RSVP'd yes. The ceremony was at 2 p.m. I sat in the front row with my classmates. Kept looking back at the audience. Looking for them. They never came. At 6:30 p.m., after the ceremony, I called my mother. Where were you? Oh, honey, we're so sorry. Maria's Etsy shop launched today. She needed help setting up her inventory. We couldn't leave her. Maria's Etsy shop. Handmade jewelry. My parents had invested $3,500 in supplies. The shop closed 3 weeks later. Total revenue, $0. They'd chosen Maria's failed business over my graduation. April 12th, 2019. Emma was born, 7 pounds, 3 ounces. Perfect. My parents came to the hospital. They stayed 20 minutes. 3 p.m. to 3:20 p.m. They left because Maria needed a new outfit for a job interview. Maria didn't get the job. She didn't even go to the interview. September 15th, 2022. I was promoted to lead trauma surgeon, the youngest in the hospital's history. I planned a celebration dinner at Gibson's Steakhouse, invited 12 people. My parents RSVP'd yes. The dinner cost $890. I paid. They didn't show. I called my mother at 7:45 p.m. Where are you? Oh, Sally, we can't make it. Maria's having a panic attack about her performance review tomorrow. We need to be here for her. Maria got fired 2 days later. For the third time that year. It was always Maria. Maria needed. Maria's crisis. Maria's emergency. And me? I was the strong one. The capable one. The one who didn't need anything. Except I needed them. I just didn't realize it until I was lying in an ICU bed with 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung, and they still chose Maria's traffic ticket over my life. I started keeping a journal in 2023, not because I wanted to, because my therapist said I was experiencing gaslighting and needed to ground myself in facts. Page 1, Entry 1. They love Maria more. I need to accept this. But why do I have to pay for their love of her? I didn't know then that they weren't just taking my money, they were taking my reputation. Thanksgiving 2023, November 23rd, my parents' house, 18 family members. I was in the kitchen helping my Aunt Carol with dishes. My cousin Jennifer, 32, pulled me aside. Sally, I'm so proud of you. When do you finish your nursing degree? I stared at her. My what? Your nursing degree. Aunt Patty said you're working toward your RN. That's amazing. Jen, I'm not a nurse. I'm a surgeon. I've been an attending for 6 years. Her face went white. What? But Aunt Patty said... What exactly did she say? Jennifer pulled out her phone, showed me my mother's Facebook page, post after post, lies. March 14th, 2024. So proud of our Maria. Final year of her healthcare administration master's at Northwestern. Maria had never attended Northwestern. She'd dropped out of community college in 2016. She'd earned 14 credits total. I'd paid off her $8,200 in student loans in 2018. July 22, 2024. Maria volunteering at Children's Hospital today, following in the family medical tradition. Maria had never volunteered. She couldn't handle the sight of blood. There was no family medical tradition. I was the only medical professional in our family. October 20th, 2024, 2 days before my accident. Prayers for our family. Sally is going through a difficult time with work stress. Maria has been so supportive, really stepping up. I wasn't going through a difficult time. I just worked a 16-hour shift saving 3 lives. Maria's idea of stepping up was asking for $500 for car insurance. I scrolled through 27 posts over 18 months, 14 major lies. My mother had created an entire fictional life for Maria. Graduate school, volunteering, career success. And for me, I was demoted, nurse instead of surgeon, stressed instead of accomplished, disconnected from family instead of the person funding their entire lifestyle. They were ashamed of me, not because I'd failed, because I'd succeeded without needing them, and they couldn't allow that narrative to exist. June 14th, 2024. 4 months before my accident, I received a letter. Illinois Medical Society. I'd been nominated for the Outstanding Young Surgeon Award, under 40 category, prestigious. The ceremony was June 14th, 2 p.m., Palmer House Hotel Grand Ballroom. I called my parents, told them, invited them, 6 weeks' notice. Of course we'll be there, my mother said. We wouldn't miss it for the world. June 14th arrived. I wore my best dress. Andrew wore a suit. Emma wore a pink dress with white ribbons. We arrived at the Palmer House at 1:30 p.m. The ballroom was full, 200 guests. Each of the 8 nominees had a table reserved for family. 6 to 8 seats per table. I looked around, saw Dr. Laura Bennett with her family, 11 people, parents, siblings, grandparents. They'd made banners, brought flowers. My table had 3 seats filled. Andrew, Emma, me. At 11 a.m. that morning, I'd received a text from my mother. So sorry, honey. Maria's landlord is evicting her, and we have to help her move today. You understand. Congrats on the award. We're so proud. Maria wasn't being evicted. She'd violated her lease with noise complaints. She'd end up moving into my parents' basement 2 weeks later, where she still lived, rent-free. At 2:30 p.m., they announced the winner. Dr. Sally Brennan, Metropolitan General Hospital. I walked to the stage, accepted the plaque, the $5,000 grant for surgical education, the recognition. I gave my speech, thanked my husband, my daughter, my colleagues. I didn't mention my parents, because how do you thank people who are never there? I sat down. Emma climbed into my lap, whispered, "Mommy, you won. Where's Grandma and Grandpa?" "They couldn't make it, baby." Because of Aunt Maria? She was 5 years old, and she already knew. That night, I got a Facebook message from my mother. Not congratulations, just, "Did you see Maria's post? She's really struggling. Can you send $800? Her deposit was higher than expected." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I closed my laptop, and for the first time in 34 years, I said no. Wednesday morning, October 23rd, 8:20 a.m. I woke to voices outside my ICU room. My parents, arguing with someone. "We're her parents. We have a right to see her." "You have the right, Mrs. Brennan. But Dr. Brennan requested someone be present when you arrive." The door opened. Mom, Dad, Maria on her phone scrolling Instagram, and behind them, standing like a guardian, was Dr. Evelyn Hartwick, 62 years old, Chief Medical Officer of Metropolitan General Hospital, silver hair, steel spine, 28 years in trauma medicine, my boss, my mentor, and now, my witness. My father's face went white. "Dr. Hartwick, We didn't know you'd be sitting with one of my best surgeons after her family failed to show up for 3 hours. Yes, Mr. Brennan, I'm here. She gestured to the chairs. Please, sit down. My mother was complaining about parking. $22. Can you believe that? $22 for 3 hours. Parking validation was free. They just had to ask. Maria was still on her phone. Didn't look up. Didn't say hello. Ronald stood by the door, hands in his pockets. Wouldn't meet my eyes. Dr. Hartwick sat in the chair beside my bed, crossed her legs, folded her hands. Shall we begin? My mother pulled out her purse, started rummaging, pulled out a checkbook. Sally, honey, thank God you're awake. You really scared us. She was writing something. I couldn't see what. Though I told the doctors you were fine, you've always been so strong. You can handle anything. She tore out the check, handed it to Maria. $385. Maria smiled, tucked it into her purse. Andrew saw it before I did. He was sitting in the corner. He'd been there all night, unshaven, same clothes as yesterday. Wait, Patricia, is that the account Sally set up? My mother blinked. Well, yes, it's the family account. Sally said it was for emergencies. The family emergency account. I'd opened it in November 2017, 6 months after co-signing the loan. I deposited $200 every month. For emergencies, 7 years, $200 times 84 months, $16,800 total deposited. The account currently had $12,600. I'd never withdrawn a penny. But apparently, my parents had. $4,200 over 7 years, without telling me. And now my mother was writing checks from it. Andrew, my mother said, you're being dramatic. The doctors handled Sally's situation. Maria's ticket is a real problem. If she loses her license, how will she get to job interviews? I whispered. She doesn't go to job interviews. My mother frowned. What? Maria doesn't go to job interviews. She's been unemployed for 8 months. She's had 3 interviews scheduled this year. She skipped all of them. Maria looked up from her phone. That's not true. July 18th, marketing position at TechFlow, you overslept. I was sick. August 9th, receptionist at Wilson & Associates. You said the commute was too far. It was an hour each way. September 22nd, data entry at Riverside Insurance. You didn't show up because you had a headache. Maria's face flushed. I did have a headache. But you went shopping that afternoon, posted 7 Instagram stories at Nordstrom. Silence, doctor. Hartwick hadn't said a word. She was just watching, taking it all in. Sally, don't be selfish, Maria said finally. You have money. I don't. That's not my fault. And there it was, the script they'd been reading from my entire life. I pulled the oxygen tube from my nose. Andrew started to protest. I raised my hand. No, let me say this. I looked at my parents, really looked at them. For the first time in my life, I saw them clearly. My father, 63 years old, retired from the city planning department, pension of $2,100 a month, spent his days watching TV and complaining about money. My mother, 60 years old, worked part-time at a flower shop, made $1,100 a month, spent her days on Facebook creating a fictional life for Maria. And Maria, 38 years old, living in their basement. No job, no prospects, no intention of changing. I want you to leave, I said. Now. My mother gasped. Excuse me? Sally, we are your parents. Get out. Sally, you're not thinking clearly. I'm more clear than I've ever been. Get out, or I'll have security remove you. My father stepped forward. Sally, you're on medication. You're not yourself. I'm exactly myself. I've been paying your bills for 7 years. I've been funding Maria's life for 7 years. And yesterday, when I was dying, you chose a $385 traffic ticket over me. Get out. My heart rate monitor started beeping. 132 beats per minute. A nurse came in, looked at the monitor, looked at my parents. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave. The patient needs to rest." "We're her family," my mother said. Dr. Hartwick stood. "Leave. Now." Her voice wasn't loud. It didn't have to be. It was the voice of someone who'd spent 30 years telling families their loved ones were dead. The voice of absolute authority. My parents left. Maria paused at the door. "You're going to regret this." I didn't answer. When the door closed, Dr. Hartwick sat back down. "How long has this been going on, Sally?" I started to cry. 34 years. Friday, October 25th, 3 days after the accident. I was still in the ICU. There was a knock on the door. 2:15 p.m. A woman I didn't recognize, late 50s, gray hair, gentle eyes. She wore a clerical collar. "Dr. Brennan? I'm Reverend Grace Donovan, from St. Catherine's Parish." St. Catherine's, my parents' church. They'd attended for 26 years. "I hope you don't mind the visit. I saw your name on the hospital directory. I didn't realize you were a surgeon. Your mother said—" She trailed off, looked uncomfortable. "What did my mother say?" "That you were a nurse, having gallbladder surgery, routine." Of course she did. "I'm a trauma surgeon," I said, "and I was in a car accident. 3 broken ribs, punctured lung, lacerated spleen. I nearly died." Reverend Donovan sat down. "Oh my God." "And my mother told the church to pray for Maria, not me." "Yes. She said Maria was devastated by her sister's selfishness in getting sick during Maria's difficult time." I laughed. It hurt. "What's Maria's difficult time?" "A traffic ticket, I believe." $385. She ran a red light." Reverend Donovan closed her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Sally." "Don't be. You didn't know." "I should have. We're supposed to see people. Really see them." She pulled out her phone. "Sally, I need to show you something. Your mother posted in our parish Facebook group." She turned the screen toward me. The post was from Wednesday at 10 p.m. "Thank you for your prayers. Sally is fine, as we knew she would be. Please continue praying for Maria, who is struggling with the stress of her sister's drama. Hashtag family first, 84 likes, 23 comments, all sympathizing with Maria. None asking about me. Because they didn't know I'd almost died. They thought I'd had gallbladder surgery. And Maria was the victim of my drama." Reverend Donovan scrolled through more posts. Months of posts. March 2024. Maria is in her final year of Healthcare Administration Masters at Northwestern. So proud. July 2024. Maria volunteering at Children's Hospital, following in the family medical tradition. October 20th, 2024. Prayers for our family. Sally is going through a difficult time with work stress. Maria has been so supportive, really stepping up. I scrolled through. 27 posts over 18 months, 14 major lies. My hands were shaking. This is all fake. Maria isn't in grad school. She's never been to Northwestern. She doesn't volunteer. She lives in my parents' basement and hasn't had a job in 8 months. Reverend Donovan's face went pale. And the family medical tradition? I'm the only medical professional in my family. I'm a trauma surgeon. Maria can't handle the sight of blood. Reverend Donovan was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Sally, in 2 weeks there's a parish appreciation dinner, November 8th. Your parents are being honored for exceptional family values and community service. They're receiving the St. Catherine's Family of the Year Award." I stared at her. "And I need to know," she said quietly. "Is any of what they've told us true?" Andrew came that evening, 6 p.m. He brought Emma with him. She climbed carefully onto my bed, handed me a drawing, a picture of me with bandages, hearts all around. Mommy, I drawed you all better. It's beautiful, baby. When can you come home? Soon, maybe Monday. She hugged me gently. Then Andrew took her to the cafeteria for ice cream. When they left, I called Dr. Hartwick. Sally? I need a favor. Anything. The hospital gala is November 30th, 4 weeks from now. Yes, you're being honored, youngest lead trauma surgeon in the hospital's history. I want to tell my story. At the gala, in front of everyone. Silence. Sally, are you sure? I'm sure. My entire department will be there. Hospital administration, donors, board members, and my parents, because they RSVP'd yes, 3 seats at my table. What are you going to say? The truth. All of it. With receipts. Receipts? Bank statements, loan documents, text messages, emails, Facebook posts. 7 years of evidence. Another pause. This will be public, Sally. Once you do this, there's no going back. I know, that's the point. Okay, I'll help you. What do you need? Time to speak, and your support. You have both. Over the next 3 weeks, I compiled everything. Andrew brought my laptop. I logged into my bank accounts, downloaded 7 years of statements. $1,200 per month. 84 months. $100,800. The emergency transfers. $12,400. The joint family account. $12,600 remaining. $4,200 withdrawn by my parents without my knowledge. Total, $117,200. Then the loan. Original balance, $186,000. I'd paid $43,700. My parents had paid $0. Total financial support over 7 years, $160,900. I created a PowerPoint, 12 slides. Slide 1, timeline of October 22nd. The 10 phone calls they ignored. Slide 2 to 4, bank statements, transfers, loan documents. Slide 5 to 6, text messages requesting money. Slide 7, photo of me alone at the Outstanding Young Surgeon Award ceremony. June 14th, 2024. Slide 8 to 9, church Facebook posts. The lies about Maria. Slide 10, total calculation, $160,900. Slide 11 to 12, medical records from October 22nd, redacted for privacy, but showing the severity, the 10 calls, the 3-hour delay, 247 pages of evidence, undeniable. Andrew saw the PowerPoint on November 5th. Sally, this is too much? No, it's perfect. But once you do this, your relationship with them is over. It's already over, they just don't know it yet. He pulled me close. I'm proud of you. On November 8th, my parents received the St. Catherine's Family of the Year Award at the Parish Appreciation Dinner. They stood in front of 150 people, accepted a plaque, made a speech about family values, and supporting each other through difficult times. Reverend Donovan told me later that she couldn't present the award without feeling sick, but she didn't say anything. Not yet, because she'd promised me she'd wait until after the gala. On November 15th, my mother texted, Sally, just confirming, you're covering our table at the gala, right? Also, Maria needs $200 for a dress. The event is black tie, and she has nothing appropriate. Can you Venmo by tomorrow? I screenshotted the text, added it to the folder, 248 pages. I didn't respond. On November 28th, my father called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Sally, we haven't heard from you in weeks. We're worried. Call us back. Also, we need to know where we're sitting at the gala. Are we at your table? Love you. I saved the voicemail, added it to the folder. 249 pages. On November 29th, the day before the gala, I met with Dr. Hartwick at the hospital. Are you ready? I'm ready. Last chance to back out. I'm not backing out. Good, because I think this is important. Not just for you. For every person who's been financially and emotionally abused by their family. That night, I didn't sleep. I practiced my speech. Over and over. 8 minutes, 850 words. I practiced until my voice was steady. Until I could say the numbers without crying. Until I could look at my parents' faces in my mind and feel nothing. No anger, no grief, no hope. Just clarity. Saturday, November 30th, 2024. 6 weeks after my accident. 4 weeks after I decided to stop pretending. I woke up at 8 a.m. Andrew was already awake. He'd been up since 6 o'clock making breakfast. Pancakes for Emma, coffee for me. Big day, he said. Big day. Emma bounced into the kitchen. Mommy, you're wearing a fancy dress tonight. I am. Can I come? You'll be backstage with Miss Jennifer. Our neighbor, a retired teacher. Emma loved her. Okay. Will Grandma and Grandpa be there? I exchanged a look with Andrew. Yes, baby. Good. Maybe they'll be nice to you this time. Out of the mouths of babes. At 4 p.m., I started getting ready. Black dress, simple, elegant, pearl earrings, red lipstick, the same shade I wore in the OR, for luck. Andrew helped me zip up the dress. How do you feel? I looked in the mirror. For the first time in 7 years, I looked like someone who knew her worth. Powerful. We left at 5:30 p.m. The Langham Hotel was 20 minutes away. The gala started at 6:30 p.m. We arrived at 6 p.m. The grand ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, a string quartet playing in the corner, 220 guests, surgeons, administrators, donors, board members. My colleagues greeted me, hugged me, asked how I was feeling. Better? I said. Much better. At 6:20 p.m., my parents arrived. My mother wore a $380 dress. I'd Venmo'd her the money on November 25th. My father wore a suit I'd never seen before. Probably new. Maria wore a $200 dress. I'd Venmo'd her the money on November 28th. They waved at me from across the room. Smiled. Like nothing was wrong. Like they hadn't ignored 10 phone calls while I was dying. Like they hadn't spent 7 years taking my money and slandering my reputation. They walked over. My mother air-kissed me. Sally, you look thin. Are you eating? Brain surgery is so stressful. It wasn't brain surgery, Mom. I was in a car accident. Right. Well, you look wonderful. Where's our table? Table 8, right near the front. Perfect. We want good photos. They walked away. Maria was already on Instagram, taking selfies. Dr. Hartwick appeared at my elbow. Ready? Ready. Remember, calm, clinical, like you're presenting a case study. I've been practicing. I know. You're going to do great. The lights dimmed. Dinner was served. I barely ate. My stomach was in knots. At 8 p.m., Dr. Hartwick stood, walked to the podium. Good evening, everyone. Tonight, I want to tell you about a surgeon. My mother leaned over. Sally, is she talking about you? I didn't answer. Dr. Hartwick continued. A trauma surgeon who saved 3 lives in 16 hours and then collapsed. My father shifted uncomfortably. And when she called for help, the people who were supposed to love her most didn't come. My mother whispered, Sally, what is this? I looked at her. This is the truth. Dr. Hartwick's voice was steady, clinical, like she was presenting a case study in a medical journal. 7 phone calls in 43 minutes. The patient's colleagues saved her life. Her blood family? They arrived 3 hours late, after the surgery was over. The ballroom was silent. 220 people. You could hear breathing. And the first thing they said was not, "Thank God you're alive." It was, "Can you write a check?" Gasps. Murmurs. My mother grabbed my wrist. Sally, stop this. I pulled away. Dr. Hartwick looked at me. Dr. Sally Brennan, would you please join me? I stood. My legs felt like water. Andrew squeezed my hand. You've got this. I walked to the stage. 18 steps. 12 seconds. The applause started. Colleagues, friends, people who knew my work. 35 seconds of standing ovation. I took the microphone, looked out at 220 faces, most of them supportive, some confused, and 3 faces at table 8, my parents, Maria, frozen. Hello, Mom, Dad? Maria, thanks for coming tonight. I'm glad you're here, because there are some things I need to say, and 220 witnesses seems about right. I clicked the remote. The first slide appeared on the screen behind me. October 22nd, 2024, timeline 3:42 p.m. Paramedic calls, Ronald. No answer. 3:46 p.m. Nurse calls Patricia. Declined. 3:51 p.m. Andrew calls Ronald. Voicemail. 3:55 p.m. Dr. Kowalski calls Ronald. No answer. 4:02 p.m. Andrew calls Patricia. We're busy. 4:18 p.m. Nurse calls Ronald. No answer. 4:35 p.m. Dr. Kowalski calls Patricia. We'll come when we can. 4:52 p.m. Andrew calls Ronald. Voicemail. 5:10 p.m. Dr. Kowalski calls Patricia. No answer. 6:25 p.m. Andrew calls Ronald. We're on our way. 6:50 p.m. Parents arrive. 3 hours, 8 minutes after first call. Murmurs through the audience. This is a timeline, I said. October 22nd. 10 phone calls. 90 minutes. While I had 3 broken ribs and a punctured lung and was bleeding internally. Click. My parents were 25 minutes away. At a cafe, with my sister Maria, who was crying over a $385 traffic ticket. More murmurs. Some gasps. Click. Next slide. Loan document, March 18th, 2017. Original amount, $186,000. Co-signers, Ronald Brennan, Sally Brennan. Monthly, payment, $1,156. This is a bank document, March 2017. My parents asked me to co-sign a $186,000 loan. I was 27. They said it was temporary. They promised to pay every month. Click. Payment history. 2017 to 2024. Total payments made by Ronald and Patricia Brennan. $0. Total payments made by Sally Brennan. $43,700. Current balance. $142,300. This is 7 years of payment history. Every payment made by me, 0 payments made by them. The audience was dead silent now. Click. Monthly transfers. 2017 to 2024. Amount, $1,200 per month. Duration, 84 months. Total, $100,800. This is my Venmo history. $1,200 every month for 84 months. They told me it was for Maria's therapy fund. Click. Maria has never been to therapy. Maria stood up. This is humiliating. You're making us look like what, Maria? I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. Like people who take $100,800 from their daughter and then can't drive 25 minutes when she's dying? She sat down. My mother was crying. Real tears or fake ones? I couldn't tell anymore. I didn't care. Click. Next slide. Screenshots of Facebook posts. My mother's account. Post 1. March 14th, 2024. Maria is in her final year of Healthcare Administration Masters at Northwestern. So proud. 84 likes. 23 comments. This is a post from my mother's Facebook. March 2024. Congratulating Maria on her master's degree from Northwestern. Click. Maria has never attended Northwestern. She dropped out of community college in 2016. She's been unemployed for 8 months. She lives in my parents' basement. Gasps. Someone whispered, "Oh my God." Click. Next post. Post 2. July 22nd, 2024. Maria volunteering at Children's Hospital, following in the family medical tradition. This post is from July, praising Maria for volunteering, for following in the family medical tradition. Click. Maria has never volunteered. She can't handle the sight of blood, and there is no family medical tradition. I'm the only medical professional in my family. I'm a trauma surgeon. Maria can't even hold down a job as a receptionist. The audience was shifting now. Uncomfortable, angry, click. A photo, me on stage. Alone. June 14th, 2024. Outstanding Young Surgeon Award. June 14th, 2024. This is a photo from June 14th. The Illinois Medical Society gave me the Outstanding Young Surgeon Award. I invited my parents 6 weeks in advance. They RSVP'd, yes. Click. They didn't come. They were helping Maria move, for the 4th time that year, into their basement, where she still lives, rent-free. I paused. I stood on that stage and thanked my husband, my daughter, and my colleagues. I didn't mention my parents. Because how do you thank people who were never there? Click. Total financial support, 2017 to 2024. Loan payments, $43,700. Monthly transfers, $100,800. Emergency fund contributions, $16,800. Total, $161,300. This is the total, $161,300. Over 7 years. Every dollar paid by me. I let that sink in. $161,300 divided by 2,920 days equals $55.24. That's what my family cost me. Per day. For 7 years. Click. I'm a trauma surgeon. I make life or death decisions. I've held beating hearts in my hands. I've told families their loved ones didn't make it. And I could do all of that, but I couldn't say no to my parents. I looked at my mother. Until now. My father stood, grabbed his coat. We're leaving. This is abuse. Dr. Hartwick stepped to a second microphone. Mr. Brennan, sit. Down. I'd never heard her use that tone. The CMO tone. The you will comply tone. We are not finished. Your daughter saved 3 lives the night before she nearly died. She collapsed in this hospital. She was saved in this hospital. By her colleagues, not by you. And you want to leave because she's telling the truth? My father sat. Dr. Hartwick looked at the audience. 3 of Sally's colleagues would like to speak, starting with Dr. James Kowalski, the surgeon who found Sally and called you 7 times. James walked to the stage, 29 years old, the resident I'd trained, the kid who'd called my parents while I was dying. He took the microphone, looked at my father. Mr. Brennan, I've been a surgeon for 4 years. I've called families to tell them their loved ones were in accidents. And I've never had a parent say their child could wait. His voice was shaking. I called you at 3:42 p.m. You didn't answer. I called at 3:55. Voicemail. I called at 4:02. You declined. He pulled out his phone, read from his notes. At 4:35 p.m., I called Mrs. Brennan. I told her Sally had internal bleeding. She needed surgery. You know what your wife said to me? He looked at my mother. She said, Sally is strong. She's a doctor. She knows how to handle this. Right now, my other daughter is having a mental breakdown over a ticket that could affect her record. Sally would want us to prioritize Maria. She always does. His voice cracked. A mental breakdown. Over a $385 traffic ticket. While Sally was drowning in her own blood, he turned to the audience. I've seen families drive through blizzards to get to their loved ones. I've seen parents sleep in waiting rooms for weeks. I've seen siblings donate kidneys without hesitation. But I've never seen a family take 3 hours to drive 25 minutes because they were dealing with something else. He looked at me. Sally saved my career once. I messed up a chest tube insertion my first year. Patient started crashing. Sally stepped in, fixed it, never reported it, never told anyone. She just said, "We all make mistakes, I've got your back." And when she needed someone to have her back, her family was at a cafe, paying for Maria's lunch. He handed the microphone back. The audience erupted in applause. Nurse Diane Fletcher, 44 years old, ICU supervisor, took the stage next. "I've been a nurse for 22 years. I've made a lot of difficult phone calls, but I've never had a parent say their child could wait when I told them their brain was sorry, when I told them they had internal injuries." She pulled out her phone. "I documented my call with Mrs. Brennan. We document everything in medicine, for legal reasons." She read from her notes. October 22nd, 3:46 p.m. Called Patricia Brennan. Conversation duration, 4 minutes, 12 seconds. I said, "Mrs. Brennan, this is Nurse Fletcher at Metropolitan General. Your daughter Sally was in a serious accident. She has broken ribs, a punctured lung, and internal bleeding. She needs you here now." She looked at my mother. "You said, is she conscious?" I said, "She's in severe pain." You said, "Then she can handle it. My other daughter is having a crisis. Will come when we're done." "A crisis? A traffic ticket? While your daughter was bleeding out." She put her phone away. "I've seen families drive through blizzards, families who work 3 jobs and still drop everything, families who donate their last dollar, but I've never seen a family who couldn't be bothered to drive 25 minutes, until October 22nd. She stepped down. More applause, louder this time. Dr. Hartwick returned to the podium. "I want everyone in this room to understand something. Dr. Sally Brennan is not just a surgeon. She's one of the finest trauma surgeons in Illinois, in the Midwest, possibly in this country." She turned to me. 3 weeks before her accident, Sally worked a 22-hour shift because we had a mass casualty event, a bus accident, 12 critical patients. She saved 9 of them. She didn't complain. She didn't ask for extra pay. She just did her job, because that's who she is. She turned to my parents. "And you couldn't drive 25 minutes. She let that hang. "This hospital is Dr. Brennan's family. These people," she gestured to the room, "are her family. They showed up. They saved her. They've been supporting her recovery for 6 weeks, while her blood relatives asked for money." She paused. "So here's what we're going to do. We're establishing the Dr. Sally Brennan Surgical Education Fund. Starting balance, $25,000, donated by this hospital's foundation, to help train the next generation of surgeons who put patients first, family second, and themselves last." Standing ovation, 220 people on their feet, except 3. My parents sat frozen. Maria was on her phone. I returned to the microphone. I was crying, but my voice was steady. "I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this because I have a daughter. Emma is 5 years old, and I need her to know. You don't owe people your life just because they're related to you." I looked at Emma backstage. She waved. "You owe them respect if they've earned it, love if it's mutual, and boundaries when they've crossed them." I turned to my parents. "Mom, Dad, Maria, I forgive you. Not because you've apologized, you haven't. Not because you've changed, you won't. I forgive you because I'm a doctor, and doctors heal, even when the wound is self-inflicted, even when the patient refuses treatment." I took a breath. But forgiveness doesn't mean reconciliation. It doesn't mean access. It doesn't mean I'll keep funding your lives while you diminish mine. I held up my phone. "As of tonight, the loan is your responsibility. The bank has removed me as co-signer. The monthly transfers stop. The emergency fund is closed, and this," I held up my phone, "is the last time you'll see my number call you. Unless you change, fundamentally, permanently, provably." I looked at Emma again. "I'm teaching my daughter something tonight. I'm teaching her that saving people is noble, but sacrificing yourself isn't. I'm teaching her that family is the people who show up, not the people who share your blood. I put the microphone down, walked off the stage. Andrew was waiting. He wrapped his arms around me. I buried my face in his shoulder. And for the first time in 34 years, I felt light. Behind me, I heard my mother say, "We're leaving. This is abuse." And someone, I think it was Reverend Donovan, said, "No, Patricia, what you did was abuse. This is consequences." By 11 p.m., the gala was over. By 11:47 p.m., 18 of the 32 videos recorded were posted on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I'd given permission at the start of my speech. Signed releases. I wanted this public. By Sunday morning, 8 a.m., the combined view count was 340,000. By Sunday evening, 8 p.m., it was 892,000. The comments were overwhelming, 12,400 and counting. Andrew showed me his phone Sunday morning. "You've gone viral. Is that good? Look at the comments." I scrolled. "This woman is a hero. Her parents are monsters. I'm a nurse and I'm sobbing. She deserves better. $161,000. And they couldn't drive 25 minutes? I hope they lose everything. My daughter is a doctor. If I ever treated her like this, I'd deserve worse than public humiliation." My phone was ringing. Unknown numbers. Reporters, probably. I turned it off. Monday morning, 9:20 a.m. My phone rang. Blocked number. I almost didn't answer. Then I thought, what if it's the hospital? I picked up. "Dr. Brennan?" "Yes." "This is attorney Michael Greenspan. I represent your parents. They're requesting a cease and desist regarding the videos from Saturday's event." I smiled. "The videos I explicitly gave permission to record? The videos showing documented financial records that I own? Good luck with that, Mr. Greenspan." "Dr. Brennan." "Tell my parents if they want to sue me, they're welcome to try. I have 249 pages of evidence, 7 years of bank statements, recorded phone calls, documented lies, and 220 witnesses. See you in court." I hung up. Andrew looked at me. "That was hot." I laughed. For the first time in weeks, I actually laughed. Tuesday, December 3rd. My lawyer called. "Sally, good news. The bank agreed to remove you from the loan. Your parents are now solely responsible for the $142,300 balance. Can they afford it? The monthly payment is $2,680. Based on their income? No. What happens if they can't pay? They refinance. They sell the house. They downsize. They face consequences, like adults." I sat with that. "Sally, it's not your problem anymore." "I know. But it didn't feel real yet." Thursday, December 5th. I got a text from Maria. First contact since the gala. "You ruined our lives. Mom and Dad might lose the house. Are you happy now?" I stared at the text for a long time. Then I typed, "I didn't ruin your lives. I stopped funding them. There's a difference. Also, you're 38 years old. Get a job." I hit send. Then I blocked her number. Andrew saw it. "Feel good?" "Yeah, actually it does." Friday, December 6th, 2 p.m. Reverend Donovan called. "Sally, I need to tell you something. The parish council reviewed the gala videos and your mother's Facebook posts. We're rescinding the Family of the Year award." "You don't have to do that." "Yes, we do. We gave them an award for family values while they were destroying their own daughter. We're also asking them to step down from their volunteer positions. Your father ran the parish finance committee. Your mother ran the family support ministry." The irony wasn't lost on me. 45 parish families have reached out to you, with apologies. I have their contact information if you want it. "Thank you, Reverend, but I don't need apologies from people who didn't know. They feel terrible. They shouldn't. My parents are very good liars. Sally, the parish wants to honor you for your work, your sacrifice, your courage." "No," I said. "I don't need another award. I just need peace." She was quiet for a moment. "You're a remarkable woman, Sally Brennan." "I'm just tired, Reverend. Really, really tired." Saturday morning, December 7th. Emma climbed into my lap. Mommy, are Grandma and Grandpa coming for Christmas? No, baby, not this year. Because they were mean to you? Kids see everything. Yes, because they were mean to me. Good, she said. Santa doesn't visit mean people. I laughed. You're right, sweetheart, he doesn't. January 15th, 2025. 6 weeks after the gala. I was back to full surgical schedule. My ribs had healed. The pain was gone. My savings account balance, $22,400. It had grown $14,200 in 6 weeks because I wasn't sending $1,200 every month, because I wasn't funding Maria's life. Andrew and I were planning a vacation. Hawaii, March 2025, 7 days, $5,800. The first real vacation we'd had in 8 years. Emma was thriving in kindergarten. Her teacher said she was more relaxed, happier. Kids feel everything. I was seeing a therapist twice a week, working through what she called parentification trauma. It would take time, but I was healing. Dr. Kowalski found me in the surgeon's lounge. How's it feel to be back full-time? Good, really good. You seem lighter. I am, literally. I'm $1,200 a month lighter. He laughed. You know what the residents are calling you? What? The surgeon who operated on her own family, without anesthesia. I smiled. That's pretty accurate. January 22nd. I was driving Emma to a birthday party. We passed my parents' old house on Maple Street. There was a for sale sign in the yard. Emma saw it. Is that Grandma's house? Yes, baby. Why is it for sale? Because they're moving to a smaller house. Because they don't have your money anymore? She was 5, and she understood. Yes, sweetheart, because they don't have my money anymore. Good, she said. Now you can buy me things. I laughed until I cried. The house was listed for $380,000. If they sold at asking price, they'd net about $237,700 after paying off the loan and closing costs. Enough to downsize, start over, without me. I didn't tell Andrew I'd seen it. That night, I logged into my bank account, $22,400. I opened a new savings account, named it Emma's College Fund. First deposit, $5,000. It felt like planting a tree. Late night, January 25th. I couldn't sleep. I opened my laptop, started typing. Dear Mom and Dad, I'm not sending this, but I need to write it. You taught me that my worth was measured in what I could give, not who I was. And I believed you. For 34 years, I believed you. But here's what you didn't teach me. You didn't teach me that I deserve to be loved without conditions. You didn't teach me that no is a complete sentence. You didn't teach me that my career wasn't a burden to you. It was a threat. Because I succeeded without needing you. And that's unforgivable in your world. I'm not angry anymore. I'm just done. Sally. 847 words. I cried 4 times while writing it. I edited it 12 times. I never sent it. The next day, I deleted the draft. Not out of fear, out of freedom. They didn't deserve my words anymore. Not even the unsent ones. January 22nd, 2025. Exactly 3 months after my accident. I walked into OR4, the same operating room where my life had been saved. Today, I was operating on a 28-year-old woman. Car accident, drunk driver hit her, fractured ribs, punctured lung. The same injuries I'd had. The surgery took 3 hours and 18 minutes. Successful. When I walked into the recovery room, her mother was there. The mother had driven 2 hours through a snowstorm. She'd been there before the ambulance arrived. She grabbed my hands, started crying. Thank you. Thank you for saving my daughter. I watched her hug her daughter. Real love, unconditional, present. Dr. Kowalski came up behind me. You good? Yeah, I'm good. Thinking about your parents? No, I said, and I meant it. I'm thinking about Emma, about the kind of mother I want to be. What kind is that? The kind who shows up. I scrubbed out, looked at my reflection in the steel. I had a thin scar on my left wrist from the accident. A reminder. My phone buzzed. Andrew, Emma wants to know if you're coming to her school play tomorrow. I smiled, typed back, front row, I'll be there. Because that's what family does. Real family. They show up.